What's good, folks? We back. Today, we talking about The Walking Dead. Now listen, we all know The Walking Dead is full of groups, it's full of factions, but we really finna break each and every faction down. Now when I say that, I'm ranking them in categories. Listen, we gonna rank every faction on their food supply, weapons, and skills, their leaderships, and their overall survival. So with this, we gonna see what group you would want to join if you was in there. So, at our last spot, we got the cabin group. It's in the cabin group from season 2. We all know it's a small group, and they consistently on the run trying to avoid dangerous threats. You know, you got your heavy hitters in there. You got Luke and you got Pete. Then you got people in there who won't survive getting bit by a cockroach, like Sarah and Nick. So, first of all, the food supply. I'ma rate it a 3 out of 10. Because they're allowing scavenging and hunting, and it's clear they struggling to find consistent food. And especially in the winter, oh yeah, they gonna have a hard time. So if you in that group, hey, that food gonna be tough. Hopefully Nick and Pete could get you some. But for that, 3 out of 10. Next, we talking about weapons and skills. Alright, so this group, it got a few weapons, I ain't gonna lie. We all know Nick, he trigger happy, so the weapons, they fine. But it's the skills that I feel like lacking. Cause, listen, we know Pete could shoot, we know Nick could hit sometimes, and we know that anybody else, I don't know if they hitting like that. But they can hold their own, just not against super large threats. So, weapons and skills, I'm gonna give them a 5 out of 10. Now, leadership. Now, this leadership thing, Pete, he is a wise man, and Luke is like the compassionate leader on the other hand. They got potential, but I feel like that leadership really ain't there. Really, Clem had to take over. Klemsky had to put them on their back, so that leadership, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Now, really, I could have it lower than that, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, for the cabin overall survival rate, listen, while they good-hearted, they lack the resources and they consistently need to run. So, 5 out of 10 on the overall survival rate. Next up, we got Crawford. Now listen, if you don't remember Crawford, we talking about season 1. It was a group with a whole lot of strict rules, and their motive was only the strong and healthy survive. They had a fortified community, but they crazy practices really led to their downfall. So for food supply, I'm gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10. Cause listen, it looked like Crawford, they had the food, it was well supplied. They had a stockpile, and they had resources to get it. So for Crawford, food supply, 8 out of 10. Now, weapon skills. Listen, this group, they well armed and they were definitely capable of defending themselves. But those strict, them rules, man. Them rules. It made them lose a potential warrior. We talking about Molly. You saw what Molly was doing. Even though Lee Molly whopped her. And they had a whole stash right there. So weapon skills, I'm gonna have to give them 8 out of 10. You know what? 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Cause I don't think everybody was like Molly. As for the leadership part though, listen, I feel like it was just a group of people that were being disciplined and very brutal. Now listen, they tactics don't gotta be good, but if it felt like it worked, then I can't put it too low. So leadership, I'm gonna have to give them a 5 out of 10. 1 point higher than the cabin boys. So, we got one more thing to cover though. Overall survival rate. Listen, while they got the food, they got the resources, they got the weaponry. Overall, it's so hard to get in because you gotta make sure you're healthy, you gotta make sure you're athletic enough. And if you do that, there's still some strict rules to follow. But the overall survival rate, I'm gonna give it a 6. 6 out of 10. Now listen, I know it's like, you crazy. The whole Crawford got boomed on. Like, ain't nobody in Crawford no more. They got 8. Listen, I feel like all groups get taken apart at some point, and their strict rules really led to their downfall there. But on to the next one. We got Erickson Boarding School. Now, Erickson Boarding School for the troubled youth. Listen, I know they all young, but they formed a tight little community that really could pull their weight. So, for the food supplies, listen, I'm talking about the Erickson after the game ended. So now they not limited to their forwards. Listen, they food supply, I'm gonna give them a 6 out of 10. Cause even though Erickson do got a decent food supply now, it's really thanks to their foraging and hunting skills. And it's never guaranteed for real. Listen, they don't got a big old stockpile like Crawford do, but I give them a 6 out of 10. Next up, we talking about weapon skills. Now they may be young, but they ain't no stranger when it comes to fighting. Listen, Clementine leaderships really give them a big boost in combat skills. So, I'm gonna say 7 out of 10. Now I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about? They defended an entire group of highly trained military folks. Listen, if I just went Clem alone, then yeah, that's a 10 out of 10 with the weapon skills. But what they lacking is it's not the skills, it's actually the weapons. Cause you go to any other faction, yeah, they got some big boys in there. They packing some heat. This is one of the reasons why they not higher. But next up, leadership skills. And Clementine leadership skills is strong, and everybody trusts her. And the bond that she really formed with them, that help them out. 10 out of 10. What else was I gonna say, man? Clementine a leader. And the overall survival skill. Listen, while they lack experience and age and all that, they strong bonds and survival instinct really allow them to do what they do and take on these more experienced groups. So I'm gonna have to give them a 8 out of 10. Next up though, we got Lily's group. Now Lily group from season 4, they ruthless, and they focus on expanding this power through force, basically. Now for food supply, listen, I feel like they managed to scavenge well. They got their little thing going on, but it might be a little unsustainable. Listen, they on that boat. It's not bad by any means, but I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. You know, it's good. It's good. I'm not gonna lie, it's good. Now, when it comes to weapons and skills, Lily group, they are well trained in combat, and they got the weapons now. They packing some heat now. So with weapon skills, I'm gonna have to get them a 9 out of 10. Listen, they are forced to be reckoned with. You see the weapons they be carrying, man. Everybody got a weapon, and that really what brings them up this high. Cause with them, oh yeah, everybody packs some heat. And I know what you thinking. Erickson Boarding School, they swept the floor at these people. What do you mean they got higher weapons and skills? Listen, you gotta remember, they were going up against zombies at the same time, while Clementine and them was going behind their back and getting all the stuff done. But weapons and skills, 9 out of 10. They are forced to be reckoned with. Leadership, Lily. Now Lily, she run kind of a dictator style. Like, she alienates some people, and it's clear that she the most feared one in the group, and also the most respected. And I feel like this group don't got that same bond, but Lily, she showed that she could be a leader even in season 1. Cause although she wasn't the greatest leader, she did take that role up, and I feel like 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 fits her. She's not a bad leader by any means. And your overall survival rate, listen, this group tough, they capable. I'm gonna give them a 8 out of 10. Hey, they a little violent, but I feel like this group, you gonna be good with them for a minute. 8 out of 10. That is, unless Klemsky decides she wanted to blow up the ship. But next up, we got Carver. Listen, Carver community, they resourceful, and they got a little structure to them. They know what they doing. Now listen, they got a bit of a different philosophy from the other ones that we were talking about. They more like, will offer you protection at the cost of your freedom. So yeah, food supply, 9 out of 10. Listen, Carver, the community, it got its own crops, it got its own, like, you saw that stockpile. They got a stockpile of food. They was good for days, good for years. Forget the days. It's Crawford, food, his middle name, 9 out of 10. Next up, we got weapon skills. Now, Crawford men, they are well armed, and I think they also well trained. They got a little bit of a militarized type of structuring going on in the group, but I don't think their skills is high enough for me to put them 9 out of 10. So 8 out of 10, it's a good spot still. Leadership. Now for leadership, we got Carver. Now Carver, he does provide a little bit of stability for the group, but he runs it through fear. And for that spot, I gotta give it a 6 out of 10. Listen, running the group through fear, yes, it's working for Carver, but at the same time, it could definitely lead to something a whole lot worse. Next up, we got the survivability rate. Now, food, you good. Combat, they got that. And they got a little bit of skill with it too. Carver group, it is one of the strongest. But the only thing I really see you having to worry about is rebellion. Because, listen, this group, if they didn't get overtaken by zombies at that point, I feel like they would have kept going and they would have been good forever. But I'm going to say, survivability rate, 9 out of 10. Listen, you survive as long as you don't come at the wrong time, you good there. You got the food, you got everything you need. But for the last group we about to mention, we talking about the New Frontier. Now, New Frontier, Season 3, it's a large organization. It got everything you need to survive. Long term, short term, whatever you want, they got it. Food supply, 10 out of 10. Listen, they well stocked. They raiding these little villages, taking their food, and you know, that food, they got it all. Now, weapons and skills. Listen, the New Frontier, they know what they doing. They got the advanced weapons. I feel like they prepared for any threat, for real. Well, almost any threat. But they highly skilled. They know what they doing out there. So weapon skills, I gotta give it 9 out of 10. Next up though, we going to leadership. Now listen, they try to keep leadership looking like they got 3 different branches, but we all know it's corrupt as ever. But I can't deny that Jonah, even though she messed up in the head, I see the point she getting at. And I don't like it, but it is helping them survive even more. Now the overall survivability rate of this, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. Cause, you know, we can't have it a 10 out of 10. There ain't no such thing as a 10 out of 10. But the New Frontier, it is one of the best equipped groups. Listen, they got everything they need to survive with a little side of corruption. But as to be expected. But there you have it. The breakdown of every faction. But let me know in the comments, what group you trying to be a part of? Me? Hey, I might be trying to live that NPC lifestyle and just pick New Frontier. As long as the corruption ain't affecting me, hey, I'm cool. I ain't gonna lie. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want it, and we out.